Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone, whoever is joining this panel discussion today. Today, we brought a very important topic for the discussion, which is artificial intelligence, ethics, and AI, which is a very hot topic being discussed all around the globe, considering the technological evolution of within the space of AI, and which has impacted the business domain, governments, even the human lives today, how we operate, how we interact, how we communicate. It has impacted the social fabric of our human way of living today itself. I'm sorry. So, being that said, today I have joined with a very strong panel of industry thought leaders, which I would like to request to quickly introduce themselves. My name is Ahmad Javaid, and I'm CEO of Cytellite. Cytellite is operating in Middle East, offering digital trust services covering cybersecurity, digital privacy, cyber resilience, etc. And today I'll be moderating the discussion. So quickly, without any further ado, I would like to request Ghulam Shabbir sir, if you kindly introduce yourself, please.
Yes, my name is Ghulam Shabbir, and I actually lead a company in the capacity of Chief Operating Officer and co-founder by the name of Momentum Consulting. And we are primarily specializing into public policy, governance reforms, as well as digital transformation.
Very warm welcome, Ghulam sir, and looking forward to
Thank you.
engage the audience with you and learn the related knowledge from yourself. Uh, Next panelist is with us is Tahseen Islam. If you kindly introduce yourself, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Actually, I have three journeys, right? Actually, एक तो एम्ब्रॉयडरी डिजिटाइजी का बिजनेस है जो सिंस हम 2000 में सिंस 2006 से हम सर्विसेज दे रहे हैं यूएस में, जो कि आपने देखा होगा फीमेल्स के ड्रेसेस पे एम्ब्रॉयडरीज होती हैं. एंड सेकंड जर्नी में एज एन अमेजॉन्स पे काम कर रहा था. थर्ड जर्नी आजकल जो चल रही है, आजकल मैं पॉडकास्ट करता हूँ. दीज थ्री जर्नीज डू आई हैव.
Interesting. Warm welcome on the panel, and looking forward to share some your views with the audience as well. Jamil Saab, if you kindly introduce yourself, please.
I am basically heading Swiss Southern Gas Company and rest of the groups as a group head IT. And presently, I am engaged in quite a few projects which are AI based, because we have quite a few challenges for that. AI, to us, it seemed that would be very fruitful. So that's why at the moment a bit in AI kind of stuff.
Interesting. So pleasure to have you, sir, on the panel, and looking forward to learn what are the current challenges and practices you are facing in driving the AI related technology projects. At the end, we have Adnan Saab with us on the panel, joining us from UK. If you kindly introduce yourself, please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Adnan Ahmed. I'm working as head of ICT and CISO at Ornua. I'm based in Ireland, not in UK, but it's very close. Our neighbors are UK. Those who don't know about Ornua is a dairy cooperative. We are headquartered in Dublin, and we are the largest exporters of Irish dairy products, exporting to 110 countries worldwide from Ireland. My exposure to IT in general is over 20 years. In the IT industry, working from software development and moving into application architecture, solutions architecture, cloud, and then recent 7 to 10 years, I'm working in cybersecurity and infrastructure. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you, Adnan Sab, on the panel, and certainly, your viewpoint going to be very important for us to understand in terms of like ethical concerns in AI technology adoption related to the European Union and new regulations which are coming up. So, without any further ado, let me push the discussion forward by posting my first question to Adnan Saab. That if you kindly define, let's say for our audience, define the AI in your own words, in a very simple layman terms.
Yeah. Well, the AI, in my view, is the capability of machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, which used to be done by human brains, now is being performed by AI. This includes a number of things. I can give you an example, like learning from experience. So it's learning from machine learning algorithms, learning from World Wide Web, and then coming up with the solutions, which could be right and wrong, which could be biased and unbiased as well. Adopting new inputs when people are providing additional data to AI, it's learning and then making those decisions, performing human activities. That's very important, and providing you decision making capabilities, which we have to be very careful when we are making a decision based on AI. There's always a human element to be there, because at the end of the day, it's human who is responsible. For example, if you're driving a car and everything within that car is autonomous, you are still held accountable for if there is an accident. So you can take benefit of the AI, but ultimately the decision maker should be still, I would say, a human being. It allows us to leverage vast amount of data to make us informed decision, which was not possible or very difficult in the past. So you can collect data from different sources and let AI machine learning algorithm to simplify the information for you and then make decisions. It could be used in different ways. We are seeing quite a lot in Excel files where finance guys are using it to collect information based on their financial data, last 5 years financial statement, and looking for information of or pinpointing the areas which they need to work on for the next couple of years from the financial capabilities. Like your an artificial mentor is working with you to guide you where you would like to go. But my big caveat would be ultimately it's you who's responsible. But it's assisting you to make those decisions. And we have seen here in Europe, it's being used in different areas. I attended decent, like roughly 3-4 months ago, there was a conference in Microsoft. They're talking about different AI use cases, and it's used in every industry. And it's not only Microsoft Copilot that people are talking about these days, because this is getting the big buzzword, but it's already being used in different industries. And one last thing I would say about AI, AI was there 10, 15 years ago as well. The AI we are talking about is generative AI. And there's a big difference in AI and generative AI. If you think about an Alexa, you use it in Amazon, you have Siri in iPhone, they were kind of in AI. They were receiving your input and making decisions based on your information, but they were not generative AI. The main explosion of information and the capability that you are getting now is because of generative AI. It's based on learning and then making those decisions based on information available. So that's the main difference, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you for very much for a very detailed description of the AI. Though, yes, indeed, I mean the AI has developed enormously in a rapid space in the past couple of decades. And previously, the logical AI or logical based systems were considered as AI systems, though. But now, general AI in normal layman terms, the way we say, like, the human like AI, that in which can think like a human or replicate the human like thinking. So, Ghulam Sab, by pushing the discussion forward, when asking you, if I may, is that if what's your view, or how would you like to define AI, and what are the ethical concerns of, as some of the concerns Adnan have highlighted in relation with the AI systems adoption?
All right, so I will take forward Adnan's understanding or definition related to artificial intelligence. Certainly, it has taken us, and it is actually taking us further on to augmenting the human intelligence as well as replacing the human intelligence. Now, augmentation part is fine, but when it comes to the replacement of human intelligence, then certainly the human itself is actually now in head-on competition with this machine, with these kind of mechanisms, as well as with these set of various technologies and mechanisms, where the humans now have to, struggle to search for the meanings of human being itself, because this capability, which was given to machines through human ingenuity and thinking, is now going to compete head on with the human ingenuity itself, with the human intelligence itself, with the sentiments that the humans have, and the power of imagination that the humans can apply, and they can actually find solutions to some of the most complex problems. So, on one hand, it is basically augmenting the capabilities, taking the decisions even more accurately versus the humans, or beyond the human capability. But on the other hand, it is basically a battle between humanity itself as well as the artificial intelligence systems and processes. Why I say that it is a battle? Because now human beings need to keep themselves aligned with their own definition of being, and that is told to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that basically, we are ashraful makhlukat. Across all the creations, we have been the most superior ones, and we are actually the assistants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and across this world. Now, when it comes to this kind of a leader level, here the ethics, values, fundamental principles of humanity, fundamental principles of governance, democracy, or any other form of governance, they actually become very, very important domains for the human beings to think through, not only from the lens of what capability artificial intelligence systems have at the present, but also from the perspective of that how this capability is actually improving heaps and bounds, what kind of capability, and this capability will be translated into what kind of computing or decision-making powers. And now humanity has to find the answer, or the right answer to this question, that how the humanity is going to actually keep the set of values aligned, keep the respect and dignity for humanity aligned, as well as using these machines and mechanisms to the ultimate benefit of the humanity in most, legit manner, as well as in most, prudent manner. So that's where we have actually gone.
That's very rightfully said, Ghulam sir. It's indeed considering the AI adoption perspective from a bigger viewpoint, in terms of taking the pace of AI technological adoption today, which has started impacting the human lives and the way we interact. There used to be a time that we used to test the technology systems. Now computer systems are asking us, verify if we are human. So we are heading towards that technological area where the machines may overrule the humanity, and that's a much rightfully a bigger concern. So Tahseen sir, what's your take on this thing? First of all, how would you like to define AI in your own words, and what are the ethical concerns, from your point of view?
Simply the technology, right? The technology comes like if you see the 18 area, there is a train line, and then the aeroplane come out. The aeroplane you are using for the bombing or something, and you are also using for the camera came out. The people is snatching the pictures, the wrong pictures, and the right, and the internet came out. The people are using right way or the wrong way. The simple is the AI technology. It's all depend the people, either they wanted to be used in the positive way and the negative way. It's all depends. So it's nothing, but the people have their own rights, and they have own powers. So either they wanted to be used in the positive way and the negative way, they can be used. I think it's a
That,
simple.
that's exactly is the concern, that technology itself is not good or bad. That our
Yeah.
use makes it good or bad
May-
as well. So that's where the AI tools or technologies are being used for the wrong purposes as well, which we have seen around and during the
Yes.
wars of Ukraine and
Yes.
and Gaza and all that. And
I
of
haven't
course,
use the word of the war because I do not wanted to include the words of wars, because the people don't know in the Pakistan and the other country the wars now, these wars, how they gonna act, and how they are using the AI to manipulate the things. So actually the Pakistani people actually don't know, or they don't have idea what is going on around, and we are
in,
thinking
in
the people are fighting their tick 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 tick, tick. And
in
there
my
is no.
opinion, see, in my opinion, that we should start using these words to make the people familiar about the negative adverse impacts of these technologies, and that's why we need to discuss about these very concerning, the impact if that goes, these such technologies goes in the wrong hands. So Jamil Saab, man, I'll take the discussion with you now. Please kindly, if you can describe in your own words and additional, any ethical concerns which you can add on what Ghulam Saab and Tahseen Saab, Adnan Saab said.
All my uh, colleagues have very briefly described about the artificial intelligence. Just to add one thing is that I'm still confused that why we use word artificial with this intelligence, because the system which we define through artificial intelligence is not intelligent at all. Whatever you educate, whatever you plan, whatever training you will give to that system that is running through computer, whatever information and database you have provided, it can facilitate you up till that level. If you see the examples of various versions of chat gpt, one version was means updated till 19, then the other was till 21, then 22. It will still keep on providing you the responses on the basis of data which we have updated till 2022. I'm talking about chat gpt-3. If you will ask something from chat gpt-3 as of today, that what's happening in Palestine, he will give you the status of 2022 only. He will not be able to respond any additional information which is happening at the moment. So just to add one thing that still surprising, that they need to use some other word for this intelligence. Could be something else with the artificial.
Right.
So one thing is for sure, that is artificial intelligence cannot be as good as the human intelligence, because human intelligence is with emotions. It can decide, it can take decision, but for artificial intelligence you need to means train them on the emotions. A human being can means react on number of means types on various occasions. To me it seems that it's practically impossible to generate any artificial intelligent sufi type means structure who can means react on each and every situation where a human being can react. You still will be left with quite a few complex situations, because what's in our inside and how we behave from our outside. You can train them on the external means, the face, that how I react from my facial expressions. That we can train them. But what's happening inside, we can never train them.
Right.
Maybe.
But yeah, Jamil said, I mean, it's a very interesting viewpoint. I mean, though very different than the majority of the people around the globe, that we do not, considering the Gen AI today, I mean, I think it's very much likely that we will be able to achieve that level of intelligence, human-like intelligence, maybe if not very soon in coming years. But let's take the other viewpoints as well. Man, I think I'm gonna be it gonna your viewpoint gonna make the discussion very interesting. Adnan Sab, would you like to counter the viewpoints of Jamil Sab?
I think regarding the chat GPT, it is right. But chat GPT is not the AI thing. There are a lot of other AI platform available. And you're also right. I will agree with you on that extent that generates output based on the information made available. But the generative AI, what it changes is it learns from the information provided, like a human learns. The only risk part is it could be biased. And how it could be biased? Because when you provide information, if you're providing information about something like rice production in only Asian countries, so it will make you inform. It will provide information about how rice is being produced in Asia. So it's not the mistake of AI; it's the mistake of how we are providing information, because it has no clue about how rice is being produced in Africa or in US or in Europe. So that's why where it is very important for us to make a distinction is the information is complete, is comprehensive when you're making decisions, and you are not cutting corners, either intentionally or unintentionally. So one example would be when you are sorting candidates for interviews, and if the information you are providing is from a specific sector and you're not looking after people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different sects, different religion, then to me it's like garbage in, garbage out. So if you are not giving comprehensive information, you don't expect AI to make those decisions. And then AI is still, that's why at the start I mentioned you still need a human brain to make the final decision. AI can help you, provide you everything, but it's your own. So one example, I'll give you another one. If you're using Microsoft Copilot paid edition, which is quite expensive here in Europe, I think it's all over the world, it allows you to review the email thread, and then it will suggest to you what should be your response. But if you just start taking it, because I'm using it, so if you look into, there is a 10 email threads going on and you need to respond, one easiest way is say, Mr. Copilot, can you write a response for me? It will write. You can't just click send, because ultimately it's you who is representing that text. It's you who is accountable for. And I have seen in majority of cases, the information that Copilot has produced for email response is not 100% accurate. I still don't trust. But it saves my 1 hour worth of writing, collecting all the information to maybe meaningful of 5 minutes of my time. But it's me who's making decision, because the tone I respond is my tone. It's not your tone. Everyone writes differently. Hi, hello, everything that you say. Gen AI will do little bit, but not everything. You have your own tone. So if you just click send button, the receiver will immediately understand that's not coming from a human. I've seen few posts people are doing on LinkedIn about AI, and they mention a disclaimer. This text is written by me, not by Copilot or AI, because people think, oh, this looks like really intellectual discussion going on, but it's written by an AI. So that will be the issue I'm seeing in the future. When you're writing a really nice article, how do I trust you? That's you who has written it, or is written by AI. But doesn't mean that we should stop. So another example I'll give you. In universities, use of Copilot or AI is not banned here in Europe. Even when you're writing thesis, you can use it. But they have tools available to understand that you are using it to gain knowledge, or you're trying to do a cheating. But it's not blocked, because there is no point blocking it, because you will find another way to block it. So that's classical example. It's not blocked here. You can still use ChatGPT or whatever you want to use it. But in corporate, it's a little bit different. The problem with ChatGPT is when you provide information, it becomes an asset of ChatGPT, and then they can use your input to respond to someone else. So you don't want your intellectual property of your company to be made publicly available. You may have uploaded, I don't know, financial statement, and someone else on the street is asking those questions. AI machine learning algorithm will use that information to provide the output to other person, which you don't want. So that's why there is a distinction between corporate use of AI and the Chat GPT, which is a public one.
Right, right. Very, very useful and insightful examples. Adnan very rightfully said. Particularly the ethical concerns about the Gen AI, which is not human like. I mean, it's human alike kind of technology, which helps um, you know increase the human efficiency and productivity and so forth. And definitely replicating the human itself, which is Ghulam Sahib, which very rightfully said from a religious point of view that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us ashraful makhluqat, and there is nothing better than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation. So, what Adnan Sahib highlighted, like few very rightful examples of, the unfair or biased algorithms, such as collecting your information, corporate information, using it for to answer someone else. Uh, Ghulam Sahib, I'll take the discussion forward with you. I'll come back to the Jamil Sahib on the other aspect of the AI. Is that there is very commonly been said that during the AI, the chat bots or the usage of these chat GPT and all that, there's a very serious concern about the personal information misuse, data privacy, and the data security. What's your view on that? Is it how ethical is it for a AI-enabled chatbot to collect your personal information and reuse it in a wrong or in a illegal way? I would say.
All right, Ahmed Saab and colleagues, thank you very much for this very, very invigorating discussion. But I would request that before actually responding to this specific aspect, I would just like to take forward what Adnan Saab and Jamil Saab and Tahseen has actually put in place altogether. You see, now we are actually at a conjunction where, by virtue of the computing power that is already in our hands, I mean, when I say in our hands, I mean in the hands of humanity, and the kind of computing power which is actually going to be vested upon us in terms of quantum computing. I mean, we already are there with the edge computing, and we are solving complex issues trying to solve complex issues in a real-time manner, right? And it is specifically, it is basically, I mean, the enterprise level use of data and machine learning operations that I'm referring to, or use of various computing capabilities I'm referring to. So now imagine that with this kind of a computing power vested to the humanity, or vested to, all together, I mean, the companies, the governments, the businesses, the not-for-profit organizations, certainly it will accumulate more and more power to replace the human decision making. Now, this is specifically the conjuncture where we need to regulate, govern, manage the risks, and strike a balance between the utilization of the AI systems and mechanisms, as well as the productivity and efficiency that we want to drive, as well as the boundary that is called as human ingenuity, or that is called as ethics, that is called as compliant AI, or that is called as regulated AI, for example. So if we take into consideration this particular premise, now we are seeing that there is altogether a very serious thought process across the globe going on to regulating AI, introducing the standards or introducing the principles or frameworks around regulating it, introducing the right kind of approaches, the right kind of frameworks, which are actually helping us as humanity across the globe to keep this technology, or to keep the combination of these technologies on track, which can work for the humanity, which are not allowed to work against the humanity at any point in time. So
Right.
some of the areas rightly touched upon by Adnan Saab, and it is also reflected into UNESCO's overall guidelines on the utilization of AI as well. That is, that the ultimate power of decision making, or the ultimate responsibility of decision making, should rest with the human beings, right? And that's how they have given some of the principles, and they have given some of the values to be referred to whenever it comes to utilizing or interacting with any AI-based mechanisms or AI-based systems, right? So this is one perspective, and this is the most important area that we need to consider where we need to actually put in place our thought process and where we need to strengthen our practice. This is the governance, it is the risk, it is the compliance, it is the regulation, right? And to keep it ethical, to keep it legitimate, and to keep it, working for improving the productivity for humanity, not against it. Now, coming down to this specific element of the utilization of, chatbots, as well as various other interaction, communication, or any other mechanism which allows us to interact with the computer-led systems or AI-generated systems where we can replace human beings. So there is no harm. We are already utilizing these practices. I mean, especially from the perspective of enterprises. But yet again, the privacy, the utilization of data, the protection of data, the safeguarding of data, the safeguarding of fundamental human rights, the safeguarding of overall sensitivity associated with the culture, associated with the perception, as well as other elements of respect and care. Certainly, we need to have some stringent standards to be followed, to be introduced, and then followed. Already, countries have introduced some of the regulations or some of the legislations, especially, in Europe, for example, and also in the UK. We are seeing this in China. We are also seeing some very, very important strides into this aspects in Japan as well. So certainly, we need to have privacy as well as ethical consideration related standards and compliances to ensure that this stays within the limits and nothing is leaked which should not be leaked.
Certainly, Ghulam, you highlighted a very important point in terms of AI technology adoption, which is addressing the ethical concerns all around the globe from a different communities, particularly the corporate or business community. I mean, it has to be regulated, and regulators have to play a very important role. And governments are now, started taking it seriously, I believe, and then now start jumping on regulating and start issuing the standards. So, Tahseen Saab, your viewpoint, what has been said, it's been quite a lot, I believe. Ghulam Saab have already shed light on a lot of endeavors of AI. So let's take the discussion forward and collect your viewpoints on this.
But the same question that the ethical responsibilities and I think you would like to be in the same point, because already the few people given the same point of view.
Yeah. So since
And
you are from a media
they give the
industry,
good presentation. They have given the good presentation, so I consider that should be a different question, because I cannot debate the same thing. But I just wanted to add the something. I do not speak about the word. I just want to speak about the Pakistan and the Pakistani people. They are using the AI. We already know what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing. We know the ethics. We know the ethics in the routes and the traffic lights. We are following or not? This is the simple thing. We have the law in the Pakistan. I'm not going about the world and something, and we have to take care of our home, right? My home, my country, and my city. We are following the instruction. We do have the ethics to communicate with you. The first thing we have to follow this. We have to consider these things, right? I cannot see the quantum computer. I do not want to discuss about the quantum computer, about the mobile and about the iPhone 16. They have a technology, but I just wanted to think. I just have a concern. First, we have to understand what is the right and what is the wrong. Already given by the Islam, this is the right thing. This is the wrong thing, because Ghulam Ahmad Sahab already said that we already have these things. We do not need to be worried about, and Allah knows what is right and what is the wrong. No one can replace us, right? And we are the genius people. But the first thing we have to be consider the ethics. We have to follow the rules, traffic rules, and the other things. I cannot comment on the politics things. You can, but I'm not the politic people. So that's the thing, that there is a lot of things you can comment on them. But the first thing we have to understand, we have to control ourselves. But once we control ourselves, the AI and the chat GTP and the autopilot, nothing. right? So we have to follow the things, and we have to consider the ethics, or we have to learn. We have the points, or we have anything. I think we have to first stop on the positive thing and the negative things. We already know we have to follow the things. That's my simple point.
Right. I mean, Tahseen sir, and thank you very much for highlighting a very, I think, important point in terms of, the in the space of AI ethics, which has been said. And once I was been asked this question on a forum, on a conference, that what, because every ethical system is linked with some value system. So, what value system you want to follow while considering the or considering defining the ethical values or regulations of related to the AI? Is it more westernized values or Islamic values or secular values and so forth? Because in one way we say, like, it's a Gaza thing is a genocide, and the other say that they are taking the right and so forth. So those things are, of course, is a very important things to consider while regulating these ethical legislating the AI adoption from ethical standpoint. So, Jamil Saab, now coming back to you after collecting a lot of different viewpoints and quite wider in nature. So, please, your viewpoints in whatever opinions you want to respond to.
Yes, exactly. In fact, a very fruitful discussion with a lot of information in that. What
Indeed.
I think is that information or a tool could be for good, or it could be against us. But main thing to follow is that it need to be controlled and monitored regularly, so that is there any means conflict in that need to be mitigated immediately. Just referring one thing, if we remember back in 2016, Microsoft launched their Gen AI basic tool, Microsoft T. So what that tool was doing is that whatever we were discussing, it was gathering information and responding accordingly. And if we recall, that was the election time, and Trump was in a very good position. And he used to say in his speeches that we are going to build a wall at Mexico border, and they are going to pay for that. What that Gen T started, that Microsoft T started to do is that whoever was asking some information about the American elections or conflict about between Mexico and America, it finally started conveying exact message that we are going to build a wall and Mexico is going to pay for that. And it took not more than 15 hours to get that T trained on that. And within 15 hours, it got that Trump wants to build a wall. For that, he's going to take money from Mexico. Though that was just in the speeches, he was referring that we are planning to build a wall where we will means someone is going to pay for that, but we have intentions to build a wall. But that Gen AI based Microsoft T was saying that we are going to build a wall, that we are building a wall and Mexico is going to pay for that. Just after 16 hours, Microsoft closed that tool. And that was in consortium with the Twitter and any discussions we were doing. And that was based on the racism. And it was also learning some odd things. So what why I was referring to this example, that in case of these situations, we need to eliminate biasness. In order to eliminate biasness, any kind of conflicting statement that need to be mitigated and removed from the bot or from the tool or from any application which is being offered. Otherwise, that information will keep on populating, and that may means create some negative impact of that technology. People may start refraining from that. So continuous monitoring, transparency, and as we say that nip the evil in the bud. The moment these kind of racist or any kind of odd thing starts, it should be eliminated at the same time. At that time, Gen AI was not that mature. They were very excited. We were, in fact, very excited that there is a new thing. Whatever we ask, it keeps on generating its database, and then that tool respond back by utilizing that means database and information. But as very rightly said by Mr. Tahseen and Ghulam Shabbir Saab, that one thing in our culture could be very good, but in another region that could be very bad. So good and bad according to the regions, cultures need to be respected wholeheartedly by each and everyone and by each and every community. So, to cut in short, we need to means monitor these things, and for ethical considerations and observations, proper authorities, as we
Exactly.
can see that various organizations are being formulated in various regions, like we are following the database standards that this is GDPR compliant, and this some standards need to be formulated for AI also, so that these kind of issues can be addressed instantly, and while developing or while means launching or deploying any kind of tool, I may refer those guidelines. In fact, I should refer those guidelines, and then I can say that my application is this standard compliant, and you can conveniently use that. That will make this technology more adaptable and more comfortable for the people who are willing to use that.
Exactly, and very rightfully said. I mean, you connected all the missing dots and painted a bigger picture, Jamil sir. Thanks for that, because of course the defining a layout for ethical AI, when it needs to be, of course, well thought of and fully discussed among all the groups, representing the communities from a different parts of the globe, in order to reach to the common consensus to define and agree on what is right and what is wrong. So because, for example, if we ask today chat gpt, what is your opinion on Gaza, when it refuses to answer, same as, like, the parties were actually involved, and it seems that, they are protecting the intent of someone, and so forth. So it's certainly it's biased, and coming up or ensuring the AI adoption from clear from the biasness, and ensuring the transparency is very important, and that has to be regulated as well. Very rightfully said. Adnan Saab, coming to you with a very traditional question, that if you please help us painting the landscape of ethical AI regulations around the European Union. Let's start with, and then we will take it further with the other team members to share the views on the other parts of the world.
Thanks, Ahmed. I think from EU perspective, EU is leading the AI from the practices that should be followed, ethical perspective. If you look into the different countries around the world, I would say similarly, like personal data, GDPR is still the gold standard, and other countries is still following it. I would say similarly, EU AI, they were very at the start very much concerned about it, which rightly so, which is a different opinion than if you think about US standards for personal data and also for EU AI Act, if you compare them. So give you a little bit background. The EU AI Act is enacted in July, August this year, but the companies have 2 years to fulfill the obligations. Not like from next day you have to do it, but what EU AI Act has done, there are some provisions they have to do within next 24 months within the Act. So prohibited use of AI, which are not the so EU is basically everything about people. That's the fundamental rights of human who are living in EU. So any law that they come up with is always fundamental rights of human being. It should not be. So one of them, they have done it within 6 months. Companies have to do it. Is prohibited use of AI. If AI is going to be used to let people go, layoffs, it's not allowed. You can't use it to train algorithms to lay off your people. So this is the fundamental right, that we need to protect our people rather than for short-term gains. So that's very important. And literacy to employees is also, again, next 6 months. So make sure that employers understand what exactly is AI, what they can produce, what they cannot produce. So one of the important implications within the EU AI is the companies who are going to develop products using AI, using generative AI. There are obligations on that they have to follow the AI. So the product which is coming on the market must be compliant with the basic standards, which I'll go through quickly. And for us as a company, if we are using a generative AI model, but we customize that model for our own employees, then the obligation applies to us as well. And a common example is Microsoft Copilot. Companies are using it. But if you create a practice where you use it for hiring process, and if during the hiring process you're letting AI to decide who should be shortlisted, or you interview 5 candidates and let AI to decide which one has done the best interview, this is not allowed, because you are now going for the next level. You are making decisions based on AI. It means you have to follow the AI Act. Are you going to, how can you guarantee that it's not biased? So that's why you have a human element. But you could use AI to match CV against the job description. So you are receiving 1,000 CVs. I'm not going to review 1,000 CVs against the job description. You can use that help. But then again, you need to make sure that it's not biased. So that's the high level thing. But the main area from the EU AI Act, if I'll summarize, one is the risk-based approach. The generative AI that you're using in your practices, what are the risks? And based on the level of risk to human being, you have to have the guardrails around to protect that information and protect that decision-making capability. So it's not like you have the data, you use it and do whatever you want. So that's not the way it's going to happen. So you have to make sure you have guardrails. So one example is when we are uploading data to Microsoft Copilot, that data is protected. It's only used by our tenant. It can't be used outside. But it can take data from outside, but can't publish it. So as an example, it's a risk-based approach. You can't upload your data. The prohibited use and also transparency is also very important thing. So if you are making decision based on the information received, you have to be transparent. How did you make that decision? A challenge for you is how transparent you could be to explain to a common person what algorithm is used, because these algorithms are very complex. You still have to answer your employees, how did you come up with that decision? Like when you're asking Chat GPT, it gives you information based on the URLs from it found. But how do you know that's not biased? You gave few examples already, Emma. So you need to be very careful about how you can make sure that the data that you're saying is coming and it's transparent. The promotion of AI is also making sure that the developers who are using the information, there's an ethical element. They're not stealing someone's source code. So that you need to make sure that the data you're getting from AI is not getting proprietary data. So because it could be accidentally published, and then you are using that proprietary data to make to write your own code. That's not allowed because there is an ethical concern about it. And then they are going to come up with an administrative policies and procedure where the companies have to respond and provide that information that it is from AI perspective, it is covered. The developers are using ethically. If you think about, I'm thinking because my background is development. So we used to do Google and find the code and make tweaks and start using it. So it's not new that you are going to use a source code to make the decision. The risk factor now coming up is you are asking generative AI to write a code for you. So the risk I'm saying it is around even cybersecurity. You can ask generative AI to write a code for you that could damage systems. That's not allowed because that's ethical concern. It's not the fault of generative AI, it's your own fault. So I think, in my opinion, EU is going in the right direction. There will be more ifs and buts how you use it. Companies will have to follow certain guidelines. For companies, they have to make sure employees are trained. One last example I'll give. in our company, anyone is using AI, they have to sign a acceptable usage policy. There is a 2-page document you have to go through. You understand the decision you're making is your decision. I gave you an example about emails. If I just copy paste Copilot, send an email, and if there are information that I provided is incorrect, I'm held accountable for. So how do people say they can't blame Copilot? Oh, it's not me has written that document, or it's not me who has published this information. So I'm responsible.
Exactly.
They have to go through the training, and they have to complete a assessment that they are ready to use AI. They understand the ethical aspect of it. They are going to make decision. It's their own decision, and they have to be impartial when they are making those decisions. So there is a human element that is dictated. So it's very much happening in EU.
Well, thank you very much for sharing a very detailed viewpoint, and very importantly, of course, to help us understand the landscape, and in particularly the AI, European EU AI Act, which basically lists down all the principles covering the AI solutions and systems development full life cycle to address the ethical concerns in each and every stage. So as you rightly said, that addresses the to ensure the transparency, as well as some, the data privacy aspects as well, uh, that may result in the legal obligations. So, Ghulam sir, what more sort of principles you would like to highlight, if I may ask you, that during the AI technological adoption, what enterprises should follow as a principle to consider if they are not or do not belong to the European Union geography, because there are other places they are still in a process of developing their regulations. So, what would be your guidelines on that?
Yeah. So the broader guideline actually comes from the United Nations resolution on the adoption and use of AI across its member states. It is quite a comprehensive guideline which takes into consideration most critical elements pertaining to the utilization of AI from the perspective of global development, human rights, compliance with ethics, morality, as well as the supremacy of the rule of law. And so this is one aspect. Another similar kind of guideline that can serve as one very solid, or I would say rock solid reference for interacting in the arena of AI is UNESCO UNESCO's guidelines for the use of ethical AI. And again, it rests on two fundamental pillars. One is the human values, human centric values, and the other ones are there are some of the principles. And when we speak of these principles, so we come to know that doing no harm, ensuring the safety and security, ensuring the right to privacy and data protection, adaptive governance and collaboration for the use of AI, responsibility and accountability, transparency and explainability for the use of AI systems. So these are some of the principles which have been actually highlighted into this specific document. And if we look at it from these two fundamental perspectives, and then if we extend it further in the purview of Japan's Society 5.0 related framework altogether, that framework also takes into consideration the most important element, that is the respect for human factor in whatever extent or in whatever quantum the society is actually deploying any amount of technology, right? So for the Society 5.0 perspective of Japan, these principles of utilization are referring to AI, human-centric values, as well as interoperability and open availability of the AI-backed mechanisms or algorithms. These are some of the very, very important considerations which are actually spelled out by Japan as well. And on the basis of this, certainly EU is actually the front runner. The EU AI Act in 2024 is quite comprehensive in its current form. However, it is now in its implementation or interaction. Certainly, since EU has been able to specifically set up a supervisory EU AI office within the European Commission's, headquarters. So it spells out a lot about the seriousness as well as about the amount of responsibility that the EU is taking as a region in terms of, interacting with AI and introducing or, embedding AI into the entire, European Union states, as well as into their enterprises and governance systems. So it has just started, and there's a lot. There's a lot to come. There's a lot to get, further revitalized in terms of the data governance regulations, the regulations pertaining to cybersecurity, because it is actually going to, get upgraded every passing year, actually, as and how, as and when we are coming across, newer elements or newer incidents, then certainly it will, keep on improvising and it will keep on improving. However, I must say that the direction that the humanity is taken overall as a League of Nations within different regions of the world or across different regions of the world, the direction is right. I see a lot of, sincerity associated with these efforts, and let's pray and hope that we should be able to keep track of, this very, very important technological revolution that is actually in the making, and that is actually supposed to do a lot in terms of value addition and productivity in the years to come.
Fingers crossed, Ghulam sir. I mean, definitely there's a lot of discussions are going on, and there's a lot of forums which governments representatives have been discussing these to regulate these, the serious concerns about the AI adoption and all that. But being that said, I mean, it needs to be practically adopted and implemented on the ground level as well, ground root level. So, Jamil sir, it's been said like quite a lot from the global standpoint. What's your views, like, of our from within Pakistan as well? These concerns have been highlighted. So, what your views on that? Meaning the, if you help us painting the landscape within Pakistan for AI ethics.
So this something is very, very means just, I would say that it's a startup in Pakistan. On AI, there is a lot of projects being executed by various organizations, and various universities are conducting courses with the giants to train people for AI implementation, deployment, to get the new generation aware of these tools, how they are going to learn, which tools are available in the market, how they are going to deploy, and what are the use cases. So on the implementation side, I can see a lot happening almost in across the board. I can say Peshawar board, IT board, and then if you see Pakistan Information Board, Punjab board, even Sindh government, they all are doing a lot for AI resource development, and for sure this is the requirement for the future. But on the governance side, I can see that there is not much happening, which should be adopted. But one good part which I can see in the AI industry, that once we were very excited that AI is generative now. But with the generative AI, there was an inception of that responsible AI. because these issues aggravated, and these issues somehow means increased after generative AI. Until AI, we are quite comfortable. We were means providing some information. We were updating the databases. We were developing the tools. Informations were being extracted and presented, and we were quite happier. So that information somehow was 99% means exact and correct. But after the generative AI, one major thing which need to be very means concerningly noticed and need to be adopted for sure is that what are the data sources for the data which is being processed and presented to the user. That is one of the main thing. So with the responsible AI, what we can do is that any part of the data which is not certified, which no one is going to take accountability of that data, I would rather say to present, do not to present that data which is not correct, rather than presenting lesser data. That we can do through responsible AI, even though we cannot see so much initiatives on the means this side of in Pakistan. But responsible AI will automatically cater this means challenge, which I can see that responsible AI is very rapidly adopted, and in some tools they are going to build that as a part of that AI platform. So that is going to make a huge difference. If we are not going to do that, then we may be in trouble, because information from the internet cannot be means relied uh, cannot be relied 100%. Though there is a lot of information which is correct, but a lot of contents are not verified. So with responsible AI, we can control these aspects from those platforms.
Exactly, exactly. Very rightfully said, Jamil Sabin, because uh, being ethical concerns addressed during the whole life cycle of AI solutions and the systems is all about using and adopting AI responsibly. And that's exactly the international community has named it as a responsible AI, which ensures all the key ethical principles being followed during the full development life cycle of the solution, and considering the legislative aspect and in particularly governance aspect of in incorporating the rules, addressing the social and ethical concerns as well. So knowing the time factor, we are running really short of time, and now we're going to head towards the last session or the stage of our discussion to collect our final takeaways. A lot has been said, so let's to conclude the discussion. Adnan Saab, your final takeaways for our audience pertaining to our discussion today.
I think we should not be afraid of AI. Use this as our buddy to help us, especially generative AI. But we have to be mindful of the information provided by Gen AI. So, as an as a country in Pakistan, we need to make sure we have to have governance in place. That's, I think, more important than adopting and generating different applications without any governance process. The biggest risk we will have is we will have a pocket of applications everywhere not following any standard, and then the government will come and saying, "Okay, we can't use these applications because of certain rules, which is not being implemented." So that's where EU is doing the right thing. Here is the principle. Now, when you develop it, you should follow those principles rather than the other way around. So I would definitely suggest that definitely the authorities to look into that one, at least give high level guidelines, what is allowed, what's not allowed, where you need to take consent from employees or individuals, and where you don't need to take consent from individuals, how transparent your generative AI models are, because that's also important. How did you make those awareness training? But there is a great potential. We can't avoid the great potential. Identity CxO conference earlier this year in Dublin, and there was a use case they talked about, which is very simple, easy. There is no biased element. So the discussion was, if you're working in cybersecurity or in legal, you have certain standards or policies. You may have 20 policies written, and you need to validate that policy against a, a policy which is a EU standard or international standard. So the discussion was, you have list of your ISO 2701 policies, and you need to validate how compliant you are against NIS2 principles, which is the directive in EU. Copilot will allow you to do that. So you don't have to compare your 93 controls on ISO against the NIS2. That can give you the gap analysis and find out. It could save your hours and days of work. And there is nothing wrong with that. You are still responsible for that. It has given you a list of things. Another example was, if I'm in legal, I need to read a contract. This contract could be 40, 50 page. And if you are in IT, you may need to read only maybe 3 paragraphs, because that's talking about commercial element, technical element. The rest is all terms and conditions. You could use Copilot to summarize the information relevant to particular parties. It could be HR, IT, procurement. So there are different functions where I would say it's available. You don't have to think twice to think about. When we are debating about ethical and other elements is when we are creating solutions that will impact human being. It could be job losses. It could be making decisions and prioritizing jobs based on the diversity of people. So those consideration will only work if you have a guidelines, and guidelines always come from the competent authorities, not me and you can decide what we could do in best.
Thank you very much, Adnan Saab. I mean, very rightfully said, the responsible use of AI will ensure addressing all of the negative impacts of AI. Ghulam Saab, your final takeaway, please. Ghulam Saab, you are still on mute.
Yes, please. I lost you for a second, so there was a disruption. So can you please come again?
What I'm saying is your final takeaway, please, for the audience.
Yeah. In fact, there's a lot of potential to use the AI as well as in its current form, as well as the form that it is going to take in the future. And for a country like ours, we certainly have the opportunity to actually take this, youth on board, train them, and provide solutions in the domain or in the segments of AI. However, we got to prepare ourselves at various fronts. We have 2022 draft AI policy in place. I don't know whether it was adopted by the government or not, but we need to relook into the policy at the national level. We need to relook into our own, data structures at the national level, as well as the compliance with various, data structures related formats and standards. And there's a lot of opportunity into all these areas. We can structure them for ourselves. We can improve our governance as a country, and we can help through this educated youth, while training them well in the domain of AI, to provide some of simple and scalable solutions to be used within the enterprises and various industries. And yet again, the responsibility lies with all of us in terms of handling AI in its most ethical and in its most transparent form, where there is no harm ensured to the people in any of its form, and where the tools are used, or AI methods or technologies are used for improving upon the productivity, for enhancing the economic value for the enterprises, and for supporting the human capital development, rather than taking the jobs away, or, for example, creating other kind of hurdles or impediments for the mankind. So yes, certainly. I mean, this is where we should be focusing on, not only into our own, specified domains, but also the into the domains where we interact. We should be active and positive advocates of using this technology for a better impact for the mankind, for better impact for the organizations where we work, and for the overall societies and the countries. So this is what I think.
Very beautifully said, Ghulam sir. And of course, it is indeed everyone's responsibility, whoever is using directly or indirectly AI technologies. And of course, the purpose should be for the better world, and everyone has to contribute equally on that. So, Jamil sir, for your final takeaways, please.
Yes, please. Just in continuation to what my colleague said, one thing is that AI can be, and in fact, AI is a very fruitful tool for increasing the productivity, especially for those tasks which we can segregate. That this is something which I am doing religiously and regularly. That could be the best case for AI utilization, because that is something which it's used to be practiced regularly in a company, in a factory, or in an organization. So you don't need to engage multiple people for that, and that can definitely increase your productivity. For instance, if you are writing a programming code, what you can do is that you can have that coding sample from the AI and then customize that as per your need. Another thing is that for fruitful utilization of AI, what we need to do is that we need to provide maximum information to the tool which we are using, be it the Copilot or Perplexity or Chat GPT or whatever, because AI initially is dumb. We may ask for water in various situations. You may need a glass of water for shaving, or you also need a glass of water for drinking. So, in human intelligence, if you are sitting in the office or in your room, if you will ask for a glass of water, the guy to whom you are asking will definitely know that while sitting in the drawing room or while laying down on the bedroom, you need a glass of water to drink, not for shaving. If you are in the washroom, he will get that he need water for shaving, or maybe some for washing your face or whatever. But for AI, you need to give him the complete information that is called prompt. That please bring me a glass of water for shaving, then he will be able to understand. We have robots now and they are following our instructions. If you will just say that bring me a glass of water, the tool may start asking what is the purpose of this glass of water for you. That is a waste of time. So prompt engineering, in fact I would say that prompt engineering in itself is a technology now. The better you will convey the message to your tool, the better services you will get. So prompt should be explained in a very, very clear way, keeping in view that the AI tool which you are using is totally dumb. Though it is called an artificial intelligence tool, but it's totally dumb. You at least need to educate him first. Then he may learn that when he asks for a glass of water while sitting in the drawing room, I need to give him a glass of water for drinking, in the
Right.
washroom for shaving. So this is what I would say, that prompt engineering is one of the fraction which need to be focused very means carefully.
Thank you very much, Jamil Saab, for our very insightful views, and definitely bringing up a different viewpoint and flavor into the discussion, which made it very interesting today. And thank you very much, everyone who has joined the panel and shared the views addressing the highlighting and addressing the ethical concerns for AI adoption all around the globe, painted the landscape for AI ethics. Thank you, Adnan Sir, for highlighting the European Union one, and Ghulam Sir for the global one, and Jamil Sir for the Pakistani, I would say more sort of mindset one. But being that said, it is, yes, indeed, as Ghulam Sahab said, it's everyone's responsibility to ensure the right or following the right practices, standards, and processes, and ensuring the ethical controls being practiced all around during the full life cycle of the development of AI solutions till the time of adoption, implementation, and maintenance. So with that said, we would like to say thank you for our audience as well, whoever joined, and I hope everyone would have enjoyed the discussion today and learned a lot from our expert panel, and looking forward to see you all on our next episode. With that said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.